na PT. 4, 5, me taca no carro, bicho. 1, 2, 3, vou sarrando na PT. 4, 5, me taca no carro, bicho. 1, 2, 3, vou sarrando na PT. 4.
Woo! Welcome to the new and improved Indignant Desert Birds in the Trump generation.
Trump generation.
Trump generation.
Is that what it is?
Everything has a Trump effect. Even the podcast.
Even the podcast has a Trump effect.
We're living under a new regime called MAGA. Okay, we're trying to make America great again. We got to get with the. You got to get on the Trump train or get run over by it, Fletcher. What you think? Y'all better wake up. I'm sorry. Here's the thing. You and I like most of what, if not all of what President, well, you, of course, being a fanboy. I mean, I'm kind of there too sometimes. I mean, he does a lot of things I approve of. We should talk about them. We'll talk about some of them tonight. But listen, y'all, if you're not for Trump, you need to just grow up because that's what's going on right now. That's what's happening. You know what? It's almost like if you are in Hunger Games and you live in the Capitol, are you going to still be crying, talking about how you wished it was back like in the districts? Come on. Or if you saw The Wiz, right? The black version of The Wizard of Oz, you know, you have a new wizard in town. You got to get correct. I mean, everybody crying. I mean, come on, Fletcher. At some point, wouldn't you say all these liberals, these leftists crying? I mean, honestly, if Kamala had won, we'd be trying to get ready with the Kamala generation. You got to survive. So these people, they show a lack of survival. It's like toddlers you left in the woods somewhere, going to cry their way home. I mean, come on now. We in the Trump generation. Prince and the new Trump generation. I remember that band.
Yeah.
That's the band.
We're definitely going to
y'all better start singing. Somebody better start singing because this is what's going down. You can resist it or get on the train. Don't let the train hit you.
It does seem like, I mean, the funny thing is that there's a lot of Democrats in the Trump administration. You have, we're going to talk about Senor Kennedy, Ms. Gabbard, and stuff like that, and those are, they were hardcore Democrats for a while. It's almost like, you know how they always say, the I didn't leave the party left me type of mentality. So it almost feels like I mean, I have my quarrels, I guess, with certain of the the new people in the administration, but I say, hey, you got to make the best out of it.
Ease on down that road. Like, sir, we got to ease on down. Ease on down the road. Now, if you guys don't follow that shows that you are dating yourself as much younger than we are. And it means that you need an education. You need to get yourself a copy of The Wiz, not any new version. I don't know about these new versions. See the one with Michael Jackson and Diana Ross, Nipsey Russell. Okay. And I might be forgetting someone else important. My bad. And it was directed by the late, great Quincy Jones, who did the music. That's what it is. Go watch that because that has a lot of the good kind of social commentary back in the day when it wasn't just crazy stuff. Yes, this is the world you're in. You can't just sit there crying. Ease on down that road. Keep on going. Kick it going. I think a lot of Democrats, like you said, first of all, the administration that Trump has assembled a really motley crew of individuals. You can't deny that. So. It's not like the old guard. In fact, it's weird because as it was the first time around when he was number 45, it's not a Republican administration. It really isn't. He is a Republican. The Republicans are voting for the most part with him. There are a few strays, or you can say traitors. However, looking at you, Mitch McConnell, also known as the turtle, which is an insult to turtles. I actually really like turtles, and they're quite loyal. Actually, they're not treacherous. Okay, but now it really does feel, though they do have the R behind their names, it really feels like it's a populist movement. Like it really does feel it's not Tea Party anymore. That kind of how they got smeared before. It's not the deplorables as Hillary Clinton. It really does feel like the American citizens coming back large and in charge, calling themselves MAGA. It's a different kind of feel to this time.
It has a very strong linger of patriotism. It has a very strong anti-establishment, like big government. Finally, it took it's fighting against the rhinos and the Democrats, and it's funny because now you see like who's on what side, right, and who comes out of the woodwork is very interesting. I do think that there is some kind of new awakening, shall we say. And you cannot, I mean, no matter what side you're on, you can't say that if you're into politics, there hasn't been a more jam-packed, presidency so far ever.
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever been a presidency
it's very
so
exciting.
jam-packed.
You have to admit it's exciting.
It's just crazy.
It's not crazy, Fletcher. It's exciting. Well, okay, I guess if you're on the left, it's crazy. In fact, it's a constitutional crisis.
It's a constitutional crisis. That's what it's going to be.
It's a constitutional crisis.
Before we start, we did start a little bit early because we thought we were going to be done with the movies. We went to the movies, guys. We dug ourselves out of the snow. Birds went to the movies. We did, and we did hang out
on the reel. Birds on the reel.
Birds on the reel. We are gonna do out of the theater because we just got out of the theater. We just got back. We're gonna do an out of the theater review of Captain America, and
with spoilers.
Wait. So let's do like 5 minutes, no spoilers, and then we'll do spoilers after that, okay? And Sir David Glenn is right. It's a constitutional crisis of infinite Earth. You probably don't understand that, but I do because it's a comic reference. It's a comic reference, and well played, Sir Glenn. Well played. So first we're gonna do
snaps. We're gonna do some snaps for Sir Glenn.
All right, fine. We're gonna snap. I'm against the snaps, by the way.
Against the snaps.
All right, so first, out of the theater review, Captain America: Brave New World. I was trying to stay away from social media's reviews because I heard that it heard some bad things. Out of the movie, I kind of enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of fun.
You're kidding me. You did like it?
Yeah.
So wait, for everybody, wait. For everybody listening, Fletcher and I made a vow not to talk about it, though we went to see the film together, that we would not talk, not even in the car. We would not talk until we first talked with you all. So this is my first time hearing what he thinks, and he'll hear what I think. Okay, go for it. Go ahead,
right. So for me, I felt that it was cheesy. It was almost like, Marvel was like the A grade of hero movies. I think they downgraded that to like a B movie, and I quite enjoy a B movie. And to me, I felt like going back to like the luchadores movies that I used to watch as a kid, and were in El Santo, and they would do all these ridiculous things out of nowhere, and sometimes the plot made no sense because they were copy and pasting together different movies. And this is what this movie felt like for me. All I can say is that I felt like I was in a luchador movie, and to me, I had a good time. I actually had a good time with that because once I decided, okay, this is not, First Avenger or the Winter Soldier or Captain America: Civil War. This is a completely new. I was able to have fun with the movie, and I quite enjoy some of the performances.
Tell us about that. What did you enjoy?
Okay, so I did see. I believe what is his name? So, Carl Lumbly, right? Who plays Isaiah Bradley? Who, if you didn't watch the TV show, Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he is the original Captain America. They experimented on the super soldier serum, and there was some stuff happening when America betrayed him and all this kind of stuff. His performance, I thought, was beautiful. Hats off to this man. He's a beautiful actor. Any scene he was on, he stole it from me. And
I
he
would
should
agree.
I
I thought he
also
was.
with this whole suit.
I
Oh, come on.
I'm not aware of this actor. He did look familiar to me. I just can't place him, but I will say he did put in some really amazing performances. He's so expressive with his expressions, with his eyes. He's very earnest as an actor. He draws you right in. I think he did put in a class A performance. But I'm going to jump in here, but I don't think he can save this film. I cannot believe, Fletcher, you enjoyed it. I was like, oh my gosh, what a terrible film. But you know what? What you say really changes my mind a little bit to this extent, because at the end, I was coming around. If the film were just a little bit longer, not saying it should be longer, it's short for a
Right.
Marvel film.
Yeah,
I
no,
said to
who
myself,
knows? Yeah.
I said to myself, actually, I'm looking at this film wrong. And I guess I should have talked to you and I would have known it, because I said, they're doing this film almost as though it were a home reel of a TV show. If it were like almost a B cut of a documentary, and that's
Right.
on purpose. I was waiting for it to become more polished, more put together, but I do believe that is what it's going for. And so I at the end started to appreciate it a little bit more. But I will tell you what was difficult for me, Fletcher. I think if I'm going to start with the negatives and then go to the positives, I do think
Okay.
we have the positive of Carl Lumbly. He's a brilliant actor, a veteran actor. He's amazing.
Right.
I mean, I can say a couple of other good things before I go to say what I think was not as good about it. I do think that overall the performances were solid. Harrison Ford is a veteran at this. He definitely can play the president pretty well. There was in general a pretty uniformity in terms of like the professionalism of it. But I guess what I thought was weak, I thought the writing was one of the worst I've ever seen or heard in Marvel. It was positively wooden. I mean, the dialogue, I don't mean they couldn't do much with the script. As far as I'm concerned, some of the dialogue was so prosaic. It was sort of like,
Right.
honestly, some of it felt like, what are you doing? I know that like on shows like The Office or, whatever, it seems like on purpose we're being dull. We're talking about something that doesn't matter. Like, hey, you're going to get a coffee? Well, I'll get a coffee too. Well, last week we got it. I mean,
Right.
there was a little bit of that. And I'm like, where is this going? Most of the times in Marvel, when I've seen it, the dialogue is electric. I mean, even if it's something like, I'm going to go get my shield. I mean, everything has like this double meaning. And it has like a lot of, lift off. This one was deliberately, I think, left down to the earth. There's definitely a lot of DEI going on with this film. I mean, we have, you have to explain to the audience, because I don't know all these characters, but the little girl, she's a grown woman who's a security head for the president that I think soaking wet is 65 pounds. And it's just as scary as your like 9-year-old brother in a costume. And she like kicks the butt of like 10 people. You have the obligatory Black woman who's playing another like advisor to the president in a security role, which, just seems a little bit unrealistic. I love seeing Black actors. I think it's good to give them a shot, but it also has to kind of make sense. We already have Captain America. You don't have to fulfill every slot, y'all. It's okay. I don't need to see myself in everybody. I see it already. I like everybody. I don't have to see myself, writ large on every screen. I thought that was a little bit of, although they played themselves well, I think the Black woman did well. I think this young white woman who's 65 pounds, soaking wet, is also a good actress, but it didn't bring a lot to the role. To me, it was too unrealistic, which made it a little bit distracting. And I just don't know about this story. I know you said we're not going to do spoilers, so I won't talk about that. But I will say, generally, I would love to know what people think. Please write us in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, by the way.
No, that is true. So what would you give it, like 1 to 10?
That's a great question. If it were a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, I have to say, now that we're talking, I probably would be between a 6 and a 7, which is not the worst. But compared to, and only because, by the way, we should say we saw it in 3D. I would not tell you to splurge on 3D. I don't think it's a great 3D movie. We saw Avatar in 3D. That made a lot of sense. I think you had to see that one in 3D, right? I'm not sure. Maybe not. No, they had regular 2D versions of it, but 3D is really a great way to see Avatar. It really comes alive. We've seen other ones like that. This one, I don't think you should splurge on it. So if you have that temptation, just resist it. Don't do the 3D option. I think it is an enjoyable night out. I don't think it's a terrible movie, although I said it was terrible when I started. I think it's just terrible compared to my expectations. When I come to Marvel, I've seen some really good ones. I think
Right.
Infinity War was excellent, or Endgame. I think some of the other ones are just really, really great. The dialogue, the plot, the way the characters work with each other. There's so much chemistry. I don't think there's a lot of chemistry between Anthony Mackie and who is the Latino guy who plays him, Fletch.
Oh gosh, I
Whatever
don't
the
remember
character
it.
is, they're
Yeah.
both really great, but there's not a lot of chemistry. One thing that was great with I'm sorry, forgive me, the white Captain America, I forget his name. What's great about him is that he really has good chemistry with almost everyone he's with on screen. Anthony Mackie definitely has a lot of screen charisma. There's no question about
Hmm.
it. He's electrifying. He's good to watch, but he doesn't really connect with anyone. You don't really
Hmm.
feel, with the slight exception of the Carl Lumbly character you mentioned. Okay,
Hmm.
Carl Lumbly, the black man, the older super soldier, he kind of has a little bit of a moment with him a couple of times. But even with him, Fletcher, he doesn't fully connect. I don't know if that's something, again, with the way it's being directed, if it's the writing,
Right.
or if it's Anthony Mackie. Chris Evans, thanks, Sir Glenn, white Captain America. I'm sorry, Chris Evans.
It's White
Chris
Captain America.
Evans. Chris Evans has such a way about himself. I mean, I don't like his politics, and I wish he would shut up. In fact, I wish all these guys would shut up. Shut up and
Pretty much.
sing. Please don't tell me what you think about politics, because I don't really care. You're not somebody I look up to for that. I am amazed by your talent. I'm amazed by your good looks. Sorry, no offense to any to everybody, but I'm not amazed by what goes in your brain about whom to vote for or what policies. I'm sorry, no offense, but I look to other people for that. And so I care about you on the screen, but and I care about you as a human being. I hope you go to heaven. But other than that, please don't bother me with your stuff. But Chris Evans, despite the fact that he's spoken out of turn about politics, he's brilliant when it comes to establishing a rapport. When he's talking to Natasha, who plays the Black Widow, whatever she's called, the Russian character, or when he's with Hawkeye, or when he's with this guy when he was, I guess, Falcon or whatever. He just has a way where you feel like that character, Captain America, Chris Evans as the character, has known them for centuries. You really believe that. Something in the twinkle of his eye, the way he touches them on the shoulder, he uses the dialogue and the direction to establish a rapport. You feel like you're in an intimate moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But this guy, Anthony Mackie, does not have that. He has other things. He's a good actor, excellent actor, but there's no chemistry with him and anybody else on the screen. Nobody. I don't believe for a second that he knows the Harrison Ford character who plays the president and they've gone way back. I don't believe the guy who's going to be the new Falcon and he go way back or have friends. I don't believe that he's friendly with the lady who plays, Sabra. I don't believe that, I just don't believe any of it. I mean, he doesn't. The only thing I kind of get is that he and Isaiah Bradley, the Carl Lumbly character, might have had a little bit, he might have been trained by him. And that's all I can get.
Right.
And that takes it away from me. And I don't know if that's the fault of the actor. Is he a diva and doesn't actually know how to connect with people? Or is that the direction? I don't know. But to me, it makes it a little bit less engaging as a film. That's what I want to see. I'm not like you all. You nerds who know all the storylines, Fletcher, who love the action. I'm a girl. I like to see the relationships on screen, because even when they have amazing action like the Avengers and the Marvel, all the stuff usually does, they also have really good family relationships, right? Remember the time, Fletcher, which one is it where they go to, is it Hawkeye's house and his family?
Oh yeah. That
Remember
was
how
in the
touching it is? And
yeah.
when they're under siege, oh man, you feel that, right? I mean, that's an action movie. Boys like it, but also it has a lot of the human element that I think a lot of people like myself go to see. And so I think it lacked that, but I'll defer to you. What do you think?
Yeah, I do think that they had a little bit. Like I said, if you go in there thinking you're gonna go see a B movie and you enjoy it, there are some a few lulls in the script, and it just feels like there's a lot of things that are discombobulated, like paced together. I like how Sir Glenn said that Marvel is down to cut and paste, and yeah, they are. They are down to cut and paste because it did feel very jigjaw. But I gotta say, I went in there, like I said, looking like I'm gonna go see a luchador movie. And literally that's what it felt like. It really harkened back to watching luchador movies that are completely B movies. The villain is wacky. The excuse me, the characters are wacky. The female side cast, are definitely wacky. And every time I saw the Sabra character, I mean, I'm sorry, guys. When you see it, it's gonna.
He literally laughed, you all. Every time
literally
she came on screen, he laughed out loud.
Yeah,
and I had to
they have
tell
this
him if
girl
he didn't
playing
stop,
like
I was gonna walk out.
Yeah, it was like some kind of Black Widow thing, and it just was crazy. Because the girl she looks like a little girl, she's like 4 foot, and she's playing it's called Sabra, which is an Israel like superhero. Uh, but I'm sorry, she has I want to say a joke because it's almost she has no weight to her because she's literally like 2 pounds soaking wet, and every time you see her, it's just wacky. It's wacky to see. Yeah.
I mean, I think
Tim Blake played he was actually not that bad.
Tim Blake Nelson.
Yeah, the makeup, Doser Glenn, is atrocious.
It's atrocious.
But that's what I'm saying. It adds to the B movie.
It feels like a B movie.
If they had the soundtrack be a little bit more protruding in it, it was pretty heightened. If they had like the soundtrack be a little bit overstated, kind of like in the 70s movies, I think it would have done a little bit more. But yeah, he was great as an actor, but it was garish. I mean, I do think some of the visuals were uneven, like his makeup, his sort of persona didn't seem to fit the rest of the film. But again, I think it does have that kind of home movie quality to it, which may be intentional. I'm not sure. But you were talking about the woman, right? I forgot what I was going to tell you about that. I was going to pick up on something you said. Girl. Maybe, is Sabra the brand name for hummus? Probably is the hummus. But
how long has it been the name? Is that a name from the character?
Oh, yeah, that's from my understanding, and I think it's from the 70s, even like before I got into comics. I've known that they had like an Israel superhero or something like that. But she she's supposed to look like this, you know what I mean? And she did not look like that. She did not look, she has no muscular.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. It was very okay. It's bad enough you have an actress who at best seems to me, from my visual cues, 4'11". I mean, there's no way that woman is 5 feet tall. And on a good day, like having eaten 2 burgers and stuffed herself with milkshakes, she can't weigh more than 80 pounds. And I think that's really pushing it. I think it's more like in the 70s. There's no question about that. I mean, that's what I see. But the movie did something terrible. I don't know if the cinematographer is trying to make a point, because they did something that you don't do, which is show massive men and then pan to her. And you remember how they did that many times?
Oh, yeah.
They didn't. Most times what I understand with the industry, if somebody is shorter, first of all, you give them, some kind of inserts in their shoes, and you're careful about making sure that they either are standing on something else, so they don't. If they're an important character, they don't look, kind of shrunken next to other people, right? You don't do that. For example, Tom Cruise is kind of diminutive in terms of his height. I mean, he's kind of built up.
Short.
He's actually he's on the shorter side, but he's built up. But they are very careful not to highlight that. When he's with taller actors, they shoot different angles, so it looks like they're kind of even. Maybe he's a little bit shorter, but not much shorter. I don't know who doesn't like this chick, but every time they showed her, she looked like a little dwarf. like a little elf on the side. Do you remember that? It's like they pan. It's like,
Yeah,
oh my
it's
gosh. It's like,
literally.
who's your little sister? What's she doing here? What movie
What's
is
she
this?
doing? Oh,
Is
that's so
that
cute. They
Marsha?
brought her along. Yeah.
Literally, and made her look so not even like sexy, like cute little thing. No, no, no. Like you look like
No,
your kid
no, it's
sister,
just
like
yeah,
kid
and
sister
her
vibe.
clothes look over like she's she looks like uh with the talking heads, with that suit, big old suit.
It was not good.
It
I
was
mean,
not
that
good.
they should have reshot those scenes when they did that. They should have done a better job of making her look at least kind of, like the sultry, but maybe small and devastating, kind of like
Yeah,
what
she's
they do
supposed to be
with
a Black Widow.
Natasha. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not. I don't know.
Yeah.
She has good moments. I think she's a great actress. I do think she's pretty. I like her, but it doesn't fit the film. It's something weird about that didn't go well. This
Yeah.
scene here, or maybe not this one, but when we're not gonna do spoilers really, but we could, when Captain America fights with the big being. Okay, so we're not going to go into spoilers. I found that kind of disturbing. I don't know about you,
Mm.
Fletcher. I thought that was too I don't want to see Captain America be that much on the ropes. What do you think?
Mhm. Yeah, I think it I guess I'm in the ropes with it because by that time I was full on this is ridiculous. So whatever happens type of attitude. So I was like, sure, what the heck? Because I mean, if I don't want to get into spoilers, but it, he does feel like like every scene. It looks like he has extra powers and different gadgets with the wings that you were like, how come he didn't use that before? So it's it's interesting. Like I said, it's one of those things where if you go in thinking this is a B movie that I'm just gonna have fun, like old martial arts movies and all like black exploitation movies and stuff like that, or it's just um, I thought it was a good
I
time.
mean, we have to move on to our birds on the wire, but can I
Right,
say this, Fletcher? I think the dialogue is so wooden. And
right.
listen, for those listening, Fletcher and I do not believe in substance. We don't do anything, drinking, alcohol, drugs, anything like that. But I will tell you, having been close friends and family members with those who do, and listening to them, this is the kind of movie I think you need to have a glass of wine or two or three and then go see. Like you need to put your feet up because you've got to, it's the kind of things that it's only going to, there were a couple funny things. I remember laughing a couple times, but
Yeah,
mostly it's wooden dialogue that's kind of like, again, like you're in a luchador movie or you're in one of those movies that's meant to be kind of ironic. And it's going to be funnier if you want to go to be entertained. You might have a better time if you bring something to enliven you, like for us, it
yeah.
was
Go to the
popcorn.
adult movie theaters.
Yeah, bring an adult beverage and then have a good
If you
time. No,
have,
I
if
should.
you go with your friends, definitely go with your friends and go hang
Yes.
out. Uh,
Valium. Yeah, Valium. You might
yeah,
want. I think it would be more
that's
enjoyable with that. And
yeah,
listen. This is not a pan movie. Again, Fletcher asked me scale of 1 to 10, and Fletcher, I need you to tell us what your number would be. I gave it between a 6 and a 7. That's respectable. Okay, it's not like
yeah. I mean,
Ishtar. I'm not
I,
giving it 2 or 3. I think it's respectable. I just don't think it lives up to the hype, and it doesn't live up to the legacy.
right, and I would give it like a 6.5 actually too.
Oh, we're on the same
Um,
page.
yeah, we're literally on the same page. Like I said, you just can't go in there thinking it's a Captain America movie like you've seen before. This is not
Yeah.
that. We're going back to the '80s Captain America, to the '70s type deal. This is something different. If you go in there thinking of something different, you'll have a good time. Um, and it's
There's
wacky, it's
not
kooky.
much of a plot, you guys. Like, don't go
Right.
looking for
And you know
like,
what? A part of that I didn't like. It's a lot of cussing and a lot of taking the Lord's name in vain
yeah, we didn't
for
like
no
that.
reason whatsoever. It didn't move the
Gratuitous.
plot. It's just
Nah.
to be like, hey, look, we're cool. We're cavorting. So yeah. But yeah, that's our out of the theater Captain America.
So see it if you have nothing better to do.
Yeah, Yeah, why not? Go check it out. It's in the movies. What else are you gonna see? Well, actually, what we should have gone to see is Paddington in Peru.
Paddington looks good.
But
We'll have
maybe we'll
people
go
have.
check that out and
Yeah,
just
we'll do a review on that. That's our next review.
Paddington
We're
in
gonna start doing
Peru.
reviews, Fletcher.
That's what we do. So this is something interesting that just came down not too long ago. So
This is amazing.
so this is kind of crazy. Why don't you tell us
Trump
about
effect.
it? Trump
Okay, well,
effect.
yeah, well, let's read it. Okay,
Okay.
so Manhattan. So I think you all know that Eric Adams, is the mayor of New York City, and he was charged with some kind of fraud and or corruption regarding allegedly some bribe or kickback he got from having some Turkish people, business people, realtors build a building in New York City, which, by the way, I think that's how it's done. I'm not certain about that, but and I certainly am not saying that it's okay to take a kickback, but it seems to me that business
Oh,
as
sorry, you're
usual.
breaking up for a second.
But people,
Okay.
but people were commenting. They think the only reason that he was charged, because everybody would just overlook that in New York City, is because Eric Adams complained about having to take so many illegals, which during the election was hurtful to the Democrat cause. And so they brought these charges against him. And good on Adams, because he doubled down. He spoke publicly that he felt he was a victim of retaliation. And he kind of kept crowing about, this is the reason I'm for Trump's vision. People said he was currying favor for a pardon, but guess what? He doesn't need a pardon, because as we see here today, Manhattan's chief federal prosecutor and senior Justice Department officials in Washington resigned because they were told to drop a corruption case against Adams. So just a couple of days ago, it came down. Remember, Trump is in charge of the executive branch. That includes the Department of Justice, which brings federal cases against people. And they knew federal, the agency is not interested in pursuing people for just lawfare, right? Just because he complained and hurt the Democrat Party during Kamala's, run, and saying, this immigrant crisis is out of control, which is what Trump kind of won on. Punishing him is not what this new administration is trying to do. So they asked somebody asked the team today. Trump said it wasn't him. He was asked that question in the Oval Office when he was meeting with the Indian Prime Minister Modi. He says, I didn't know about it. But as far as they might know, that's not what this administration is about. So rather than accept their, defeat, these chief federal prosecutor and senior department person stepped down. So we have interim Manhattan U.S. Attorney Danielle Sassoon stepped down Thursday, a day after she wrote Attorney General Pam Bondi an 8-page letter defending her office's handling of the Adams case and saying she saw no good faith reason to drop the case. Sassoon was instructed to do so Monday by acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove, who said the case was politically motivated, which we all knew, and was hindering Adams' cooperation with Trump's immigration enforcement priorities, because that's what he wants to do, not this nonsense. And, she is obviously, from what I can tell, a left-wing person. She's not there for her job, because you're not there to do your own thing. You're there to carry out the wishes of the executive branch. If they say they're not interested in pursuing this, what kind of moral standing are you standing on? It's New York City, and you're saying this man took a bribe for a building to get built that helps the people in New York. Shut up and sit down. All the corruption you're overlooking to go jump over to get to Eric Adams. Are you serious? She says, I understand my duty as a prosecutor to mean enforcing the law impartially, and that includes prosecuting a validly returned indictment, which is easy to indict. There's an expression, you can indict a ham sandwich, okay? Regardless whether its dismissal would be politically advantageous to the defendant or to those who appointed me, she wrote. No, you're just mad because you didn't get your way. You thought this was your big moment. So Bove, good for him. Him or her accepted Sassoon's resignation, he did, in his own letter Thursday, accusing her of, which it is, insubordination, and saying that the case was being reassigned to the Justice Department. Yes. Okay, that's all we need to talk about with that in terms of the reading of it, Fletcher. But we can say this is daddy's home. Okay, President Trump is changing, and he did overnight. It has not even been, I think it's only now been 3 weeks since he's been in office, and he has changed the tenor because it was a lot of politically motivated legal things happening, okay, with that Department of Justice, with all kinds of things. We saw that with the pro-life people being put literally in prison for praying in many cases, honestly, just, aggressive praying, and long sentences. It's like they were all, they were pursuing these people, stepping over traffickers, stepping over illegal aliens that they knew where they were, who had literally violated children, killed people. We know that because Trump's ICE has gone and got them, and we knew where they were. And we're seeing rap sheets like this one killed somebody, or suspected of killing someone. Someone violated a child. This one took drugs. You let them go. But the grandma with her rosary beads, that was a problem outside the killing center of Moloch, children sacrificed to Moloch. So it's a completely new day. This woman here, she's really dumb because she doesn't realize she could have stayed on and just done a good job and maybe got the attention, because like we started with this, Fletcher, President Trump is not that partisan. He'll work with anybody who wants to work with him.
Yep.
So
no, it's completely
bad on her.
It's completely, you could smell the railroading that they were trying to get because Mayor Adams was not playing along. I mean, there's still a lot of stuff that's happening.
He's smart. You got to give him some credit.
But yeah, you do have to kind of say, hey, some things are happening in New York, whether you like them or not. Things are happening that it just feels like there's a shift on everything that's happening. And people, like you said, you got to get on the train because they're not messing around. Before, we used to hear all this stuff dragging on, and it wouldn't be like, like years, you would hear, oh, this is happening or that's happening. But it looks like people
are not playing around.
People are not they're not playing around with Trump. We just see that New York is changing. Yeah, just drop the case, drop everything.
Drop the case.
That wasn't the only thing. It's like, it looks like, I mean, New York is a lot of people are saying New York is gone MAGA in a sense. Now I don't know how much of that.
That's amazing.
How much of that is, factual, but there is a lot of stuff that's happening that's a little bit, hard to believe, right?
Yeah.
Taken over a local school board meeting, demanding answers over an LGBTQIA+ book being used in elementary schools. The controversial title, The Rainbow Parade, a celebration of LGBTQIA+ identities and allies, features graphic depictions, including a naked figure shown from behind, images of furries, and a gay couple in leather.
Yeah, I mean, they have literally.
This is with children. Y'all hear that?
People like in like costumes. Like
not just
like
costumes. They were in states of undress. Yeah, bondage costumes. And these, from what I understand, these books were for kindergarten to like third grade.
Kindergarten.
Babies. They're showing them undressed adults, undressed from seeing their backsides naked in the books, and having them in sadomasochistic wear. This is what they're showing to our children.
To kindergarten.
Kindergarten to third grade.
Remember the kindergarten?
And maybe even up to fifth grade, I think they said. These are babies.
You're like, it was like, what color is the dinosaur or something. Now it's like, what's color the pride flag? It's just insane.
It's worse than that. They're literally showing them have, intimacy that's perverse and adult and beyond what they can properly understand. They are literally trying to take the innocence away from children just because you sent them to school. That's not what you sent them there for. Outrageous.
Just crazy.
And they don't know that people don't like this stuff.
No, completely.
To quote, break down stereotypes and embrace diversity. However, many parents believe such content is wholly inappropriate for children in grades 1 through 5. At the meeting in a Monroe County auditorium, one parent, John Feathers, sharply criticized the material, saying, quote, if you think that that's appropriate for children to see, then there's something wrong with you, and you need to have a mental evaluation.
It's not wrong.
He pointed directly to the book's images, adding, quote, you can see the guy's butt clearly out, And then there are two guys standing in bondage. Superintendent Tasha Potter attempted to calm the situation by referring to the proper procedures for filing objections, but her comments were met with overwhelming boos from the crowd. One parent filmed the dramatic scene, exclaiming, quote, "It's our board meeting. We pay you."
Yes, we are going to go into a recess. Can I have a motion?
These people are always the same. Anytime look at all these people. It's like they're always the same. Anytime they're getting opposition from who? From the parents, and they're like thinking they're so above it.
They're above it. They're above
everybody. They you can't tell them anything. They can fly. It just see it. I mean,
it's disgusting.
Flabbergasted that anybody would allow this to happen. Because these people, I mean, there's got to be other options. And that's why I love that President Trump wants to do this whole choice,
Yeah, put these people out of business. I mean, the thing is, here's the problem. You have a literal crisis. These children are being groomed. The only reason you would show a small child between kindergarten and 5th grade sexually explicit material is because you want them to be groomed. You want to take their innocence and make it more likely that they'll do what you want them to do involving the images you're showing them. You want to take away their natural modesty, their natural innocence. That's what you're doing. It's disgusting. These people are living out perverted fantasies. Everybody can see that who's normal. And they are coming to say this has got to stop. And you want to stand on ceremony? Oh, there's a proper way to do it. You have to have emotion. Girl, take your emotion and I'm not going to say what I want her to do with it. Take that motion and put it where the sun don't shine. You need to get out of here with that. You should have stopped and then you go and call a recess so you don't have to deal with the people. Please.
Yeah, because you're running away from the people that have questions when you're there to answer questions to the people.
Yeah, that's your job.
Why does all these people have their kids still in the school is what I want to ask.
I think because, that's a great question, Fletcher. And I wonder about that too. I think the reason is people have this idea, they still believe in these government schools. And that's what I call them. You call them public schools. I call them government schools. That's what they are. They're government schools. And they are not giving you anything better than what you get when you get the government cheese. Is that the good cheese? Is that the brie? Right? Is that the Parmesan? Is that, is that good stuff? No, it's just yellow block cheese. You don't know how much of it is real. That's what the government schools are too. People need to wake up. Sometimes you have good ones like magnet schools, where some of our kids have gone and things of that nature, but a lot of them are just terrible. And this one is terrible. If your kids, you can't send them to school without them seeing something that could literally be X-rated. Then, in the cartoon form, it's X-rated. If you're showing bondage, it's R for sure, but it's R going upwards of it. Then you can't send them to those schools. That's a terrible school. Yeah. And I bet you anything, they are not doing well in that jurisdiction either, that district, for reading, writing, or arithmetic. I bet you they're not able to do that well, but they get to see LGBTQ plus alphabet. They get to see that. They're good at that, but I bet you they couldn't read a book.
No, completely.
Notice it has pictures.
It's flabbergasting, and I'm so happy that we are starting to see hopefully some change. It's going to be slow coming, but we did want to overarch most of our talk because to show that Trump, how he's dealing with a lot of these issues is through that lens of a businessman, and he sees that these schools are not actually giving us, our bucks for our money, right? Because last week he made a talk saying that, hey, look, these schools, we spend more per pupil than any country in the world, and we don't have the best results in the world. And I want to see the best results in the world. And that needs to happen because a lot of these folks are the same folks who basically have a free ride in a sense. They're just there to, parade their, their agendas instead of teaching children. They don't care about that. Such a shame.
And I think that's true. I think that's a really good point, Fletcher. We were looking at the stories this week through the lens of, Trump is really not coming at his job, it seems, as a politician. And it seems to be that is a lot of what the indignation is. Certainly some people are indignant because they are corrupt grifters and they don't want to be found out or be taken off the government teat. But others, they're just generally outraged because Trump doesn't do things the way they expect him to. They want him to, have a meeting and then have another meeting, then have a meeting about that meeting, then have another committee, then have a vote, then bring it to Congress. And then he's like, nah, I'm not doing any of that. I'm going to go straight to fix the problem about the Department of Education, which he says he wants to abolish, which would put those creatures out of a job, I believe. He says they are so phony. He says they are crooks. They are grifters because he says, how can we spend more money per pupil than any other school in the world? Not in America, in the world. He means of Finland, Norway, UK, anyone. We spend more, and yet we are the worst in terms of results. Our kids score worse than any of those countries on all of the basics. I bet we do better on like all the alphabet stuff. Okay, on woke stuff, we're top notch. Our kids can't. I bet you,
I bet you we're top notch on that. We got
our kids are woke. They ready. Yeah, they can do all that. But as far as like being able to pass the APs, no. And other schools are better. So he says, look, we got to do something different. And the way President Trump does things is he goes about it the way a businessman does. Let's see results. For too long, it's trust me, bro, when it comes to the Department of Education with the school boards and with the teachers union. It's like, we're failing, but just give us more money.
Yeah.
Trust me, bro. But this chick here, look at this chick. Does this chick look like she's there to try to get kids to do better? I don't get that vibe from her at all.
No, I don't take it at all. I just it's a shame. I would love for us to have a better education system, but it looks like we're just getting I think it's going to change. Now, I think it's going to change also.
I think it's going to change. I think Trump has a plan. I think perhaps it might get worse before it gets better, but and some states will be left to fend for themselves, because if there really isn't going to be funding from the DOE and people have to kind of make it happen on their state level, places like Mississippi are going to do terribly, whereas places like maybe Pennsylvania might do okay. Others, it really is going to depend. But I think that you have over time, it might work out better than having this one central, failing agency that's not doing anything, and you have these kind of situations. So
no, completely. But he is facing a lot of trouble with what people have been parroting, the constitutional crisis. But I think we both know that it's mostly a judge crisis that they're trying to do. So there seems like the Obama and Biden judges are trying to do a little bit of lawfare here,
and Clinton judges. Honestly, it's crazy. I don't know if you can show this, if we can read some of this, Fletcher, but it's really interesting to hear this perspective from people who understand the law, talking about how Trump has been semi-blocked or blocked from, doing his job as the executive by this judicial branch. Is almost like, wow, the left lost, and so they do what they do best. They hide and then go to lawfare. So I think this is interesting. It says 3 weeks into President Donald Trump's second term, and the Democrat Party is rudderless. They lack compelling, charismatic leadership. They're rapidly losing ground in the culture war they dominated. They don't have any favorable issues or narratives. Their tried and true tactic of public shaming, it didn't keep young Doge employee known as, we won't say his name, out of a job. Everybody knows what it is. Okay. But there's one element they still have left, okay? That's the system of justice, the same one they used to try to jail President Trump, and now they're trying to use it against his mandate, MAGA's mandate. And if you go down, this one tells you some of the people and what they did. So we have Judge Angel Kelly from the U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts, a Biden nominee. So yesterday it says Judge Kelly, Angel Kelly, granted a restraining order against the National Institute of Health funding cuts. So Trump is trying to save us all money. That's what we put him in there for. That's the mandate. He won every state, okay? He won decisively. and he wants to stop the excess spending that is not going to any place good. So the Trump administration had moved to cap indirect costs. So reimbursements for, quote, overhead expenses on university research at 15%. Okay. He wanted to slash waste. But guess what? Somehow, even though he's the executive, he makes decisions about budget for federal agencies, which NIH is, Harry Wavos. Judge Kelly stepped in. She says, oh, no, you can't do that. Are you serious? And it says here, Kelly has a history of judicial activism. Senator Elizabeth Warren said about her something I don't think if you're a judge, you really want someone to say about you.
Yeah,
she says,
you want to be quoted by...
You don't want to be quoted by Liawatha, the white Jeep Cherokee, Pocahontas. When she said, look what she said, I think this is an indictment of her. She said that Judge Kelly, quote, has made it a personal mission to bring about change through her role on the bench. Oh my goodness. Senator Warren, you think that's a compliment? We don't have judges. It's an indictment. You don't even get it. You say that as a compliment. A judge is not supposed to bring about change through their role on the bench. A judge is supposed to apply the law. They're supposed to uphold the law, not bring about change. Change is what you have activists for. That's what the community organizer is for. That's what maybe Congress is for. But this is not for the judge to bring about change. And it says here, this Judge Kelly, her career has been defined by diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI practices. Biden, who appointed her, boasted that DEI was a factor in her appointment, highlighting her, quote, African-American and Asian-American ancestry. Oh, they got a double whopper there. They're so excited. They got Black and Asian. Black and Asian, black and yellow, black and yellow. You got that Blasian. You got that Tiger Woods energy. Black and Asian as part of, I don't care about her Black and Asian. Look, girl, follow the law. That's what you're there for. As part of his administration's push to expand, quote, diversity on the federal bench. I would be so embarrassed. If I was somebody like this, I would be so embarrassed. Please don't put me on any job like that because you like the fact that my parents got together and they're Black and Asian or got whatever they are. Please like me for me. But look, nice, right? So it says she openly uses DEI criteria in hiring. She said, this is a judge now, diversity is very important to me. She said I wonder, is it though? Because diversity, people think it's just because you're Black and Asian or whatever you are. Diversity is difference of opinion. Diversity is different backgrounds, is different socioeconomic backgrounds. I bet you she has the same kind of friends. They're not that's not diversity, but she says diversity is very important to me. She said during a Berkeley Law Judges in Residence program, quote, I want people who bring different life experiences, and diversity can mean any number of things. Well, she does say this: race, gender, geography, socioeconomic work experience, all of it. They say that, but I don't think they do more than give lip service to it. Mean it, right? Because you know what? I bet you she's not hiring somebody from Appalachia. She's not hiring a white redneck to be in her chambers, being her bailiff, being, anything who works for her. I don't think so. They say that, but it's not really. And she said apparently there's systemic racism in almost all systems, particularly the court systems. And she obviously, as they say, echoing critical race theory. She participated in the China Judicial Exchange. That caused me concern, which is affiliated with the People's Court of China. So here's our Black and Asian woman, not a bad looking woman. But I'm sorry, that doesn't sound good. And you're going to stop Trump from doing the job we literally elected him to do. We got some people up in the house. We got the Basco Senario, Royalty, and Sashi. Thank you.
Hey,
I'm
what's
Indian.
Up, nice.
Hola. Sashi asked, I'm Indian. Does that qualify me as Black and Asian? Well, yes, it does, Sashi. Yes, it does.
That is literally what Indian is, right?
That's what you are. Yes. You are Black and Asian.
Yes. And don't get Ursula started about Shah Rukh Khan being Black.
I do think that Shah Rukh Khan is honestly really African American. He's pretending to be Indian for the movies.
He's pretending to be Indian for the money. That's what.
This is my own personal conspiracy theory. No one is taking me up on it yet. Yeah, that's what she is. She looks pleasant enough, but let me tell you, she's not nice because for her to come in and somehow say that Trump, who is over NIH, can't decide what their budget is, you got to be kidding me. But there's more. Wait, there's more.
Oh my gosh! But wait, there's more.
She's had a number of controversial decisions. She said a police officer didn't have a First Amendment right to criticize George Floyd, the George Floyd Act. Okay, all right. She said, oh, the majority of protests were peaceful for Black Lives Matter. I don't think many people would believe that. Especially when, as this article says, there was tear gas, arrests, flash grenades, and, you know, other things. It says here she dismissed a complaint from a student that sued their university because they couldn't have class during the COOF. And she was like, nah, you're fine. Just do what the university says, right? Just dismiss
right,
it.
No.
It says she dismissed the case
Be submissive
brought by 19 people who said they had injury and distress against this Boston Public Health Commission because they made them get proof of the COOF magical thing to go to indoor entertainment to do anything. And she was like, nah, you ain't got nothing, to get rid of that. She dismissed a religious discrimination case brought by a hospital employee who was terminated for not getting the COOF magical thing. And she was like, nah, that's not a valid religious belief. Okay. She has been known, according to this, as having a soft on crime approach.
Why always soft on crime? It's always a thing.
I don't know why it goes together. And she sentenced a FedEx driver who stole and sold 3 firearms from packages to 6 days in prison and 250 hours of community service, even though it's supposed to carry a 10-year prison sentence and fines. Okay. All right.
Well, at least she's pro firearm, I guess.
This is
right?
the racial algebra that Sir Glenn is talking about. I don't know how to do this racial algebra because I'm thinking if you are a FedEx driver and you not only steal, but from your employer and something that's a violent instrument, such as a firearm, I think you should probably get more than 250 hours of community service in a couple, days. And by the way, it says 6 days in prison. It was 6 days probably in jail. I think that's a misspeaking because I do know from your classes, Fletcher. Yeah, because you took
nobody
some classes
spent 6 days in prison.
No, because Fletcher took, as the first time I ever learned it, Fletcher took some classes in criminal justice and understand that if it's less than 6 months, it's jail. If it's more than that, it's prison. So this is, he's been a couple days, All right, here's the other one. She's not alone. So that's Judge Kelly. Look who else is a problem. We got senior judge Amy Berman Jackson.
Look at the face alone.
Look at La Cara. The U.S. District Court, District of Columbia. So this one we had the Biden person. That's who Judge Amy Angel. This one is from Obama. So look, it says this judge Jackson made news by temporarily reinstating the fired head of the Office of Special Counsel. So what? He can't fire people? She is known as a clear, I can't read that part, but with a long history of attacking Trump. She presided over the Russian collusion case, and we can't say, but the first month of the year situation at the Capitol. And she has a judicial philosophy for
the open house at the Capitol on the 6th.
The open house at the Capitol in early January a few years ago. Yeah. She does these procedural courtroom check-ins. Okay, go down, go for us.
What the heck is that?
I'll read the rest. It says I don't know what she's doing, but she's very sharply against Trump's administration. Yeah, exactly. And then she donated, we hear, at least $1,500 to Democrats. Okay, the next one we have is Chief Judge John McConnell of the District Court of Rhode Island, and he is another Obama appointee, also a Democrat donor, it says here. And what he's trying to do is block another spending freeze that Trump is trying to do to save us money. And he went further because he threatened criminal charges if they don't do what he wants. They say he's a committed activist. It says while he was in private practice, he donated to hundreds of thousands. They said he donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to Democrat campaigns. And he also gave to Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Barack Obama.
How does he get away? Isn't there a cap? Didn't Dinesh D'Souza get arrested for this?
That's what I guess I can't make heads or tails out of it. I also wonder, how do you do that and then you get to be something that's impartial? How can you be giving money to hundreds of thousands of dollars to Democrats and then you're going to get on the bench and say you're going to be fair to Republicans? I just don't think that's fair. I don't see how that works. Joe Biden and Barack Obama, so he gave to the campaigns of those two as well as Hillary Clinton, according to the Federal Election Commission records. He also donated $8,000, it says over $8,000, to Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse's 2006 campaign. Oh, I'm sure he's fair to Trump. I'm sure he'll be fair.
Fair and unbiased.
That's a lot of money. Look at this guy. He not only did that, he worked at the ACLU, which has not been a fair organization for a long time. But he was on the board of directors for the specialists in sacrificing babies to Moloch. He was on their board for 4 years. The specialists, the original OG killers. He was on their board. And it says like the scale of his political giving sets him apart from most other judges because he gave so much money. They said that he gave like $190,000 to members of Congress. $200,000 went directly to the Democratic Party.
This is just crazy. How much money does this guy gonna have?
I don't know. And I wonder, like, are you a judge because of your great skill, or are you a judge because you're highly connected, because of your amazing donations? Is that why you got the appointment? Did you get noticed by somebody who makes those appointments, who makes those recommendations to the president? Because that's how it works. I know that from friends. Like, they have to get attention as a lawyer or maybe as a lower court judge, and then maybe the senator will say, I recommend you or something. Well, I mean, if you're giving that much money, you're definitely going to get noticed. But are you going to be able to be fair when you get into that position? And he's showing now, by the way, he's blocking Trump, blocking us, that he doesn't look fair. It doesn't seem fair. I mean, come on.
That's a whole lot of money. Yeah.
That's a whole lot of money. Then there's senior judge Colleen. Oh, this one. It just gets worse and worse. It's like a parade of horribles. I mean, we need to call Dante. Dante, call your office from Inferno. Dante's Inferno, please, because these are like characters in his beautiful poem. Look at this one, Senior Judge Colleen Kolar Catelli, and all those C sounds. She's someone that she can cut you, because it says she stood against Trump's efforts to cut government access by Doge. This is the one who blocked access to Treasury Department payment records to figure out where the payments are where they're going. So look here, it says the judge this is the one too. She's a beauty. She is the one who sentenced, wait, don't move it, Fletcher, 7 pro-life activists to federal prison in a cruel fashion, it says. The husband of activist Paulette Harlow, she's a pro-life activist. She's been at this thing for years, trying to save babies from being destroyed. And she's 77 years old. And this woman sentenced her to prison. And the woman not only did that, this woman didn't just put the woman in prison, okay, saying she violated the law for praying, basically, for trying to save babies. She said, when the husband said, can you please be merciful because she is very sick, she's dying, and asked for leniency, she says, well, I suggest she makes every effort to stay alive as part of the tenets of your religion. What?
That's just crazy.
How is that not how is that not unethical for a judge to make comments in a negative manner about someone's religion? Like, make every effort to stay alive. I suppose you do that. Are you serious? That's really disgusting. Okay, Sir Glenn, I don't know if you know this quote. Fletcher, can you look it up? It says, speaking of Moloch, are y'all going to cover the Taylor Swift quote making the rounds on Twitter? Man, you got me. I just thought she was still hurting because her man lost that game in big.
Oh, is it this one they're talking about, that she's gonna leave the United States if Trump becomes president?
Oh my gosh, I hate that video. She looks horrible right there. She's a cute girl, but that's a horrible.
I stopped playing.
Oh my gosh!
Every time I play some kind of music or something, we always get like a little note or something like that.
Oh yeah, so, they are very sensitive on this platform about.
Is that what you're talking about, Sir Glenn? So it's like, I guess she's leaving. She's leaving Las Vegas.
No, he says about Moloch. There must be something about the sacrifice of the little ones to their god, their greedy god. So I guess we'll see.
I don't know.
If you can tell us, somebody tell us, or Sir Glenn tell us.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, this is, look at her face. Does she look like she's a nice person? I don't get nice person. And we know because of what she said, you should just make sure it's part of your religion that you stay alive. Wow. Wow. And this is the one trying to say that, Trump, you might be the head of the executive and other people are able to access these records because they work in the department, but you don't have the ability to look at those records. So just move along. Oh, are you serious? He's the leader of the free world. And it says that in 2017, she blocked enforcement of Trump's transgender military ban.
Wow.
And this is the one who really got the Treasury Department payment system. That's this one. I might be mixing up with her. Judge Engelmeyer. He blocked Doge's access to the Treasury Department payment system. That was pretty recently, saying, political appointees can't access that data. Oh yeah,
Wow.
that's really smart. That sounds like something really smart. I mean, I'm sure that sounds like something you learned at Harvard. Yeah.
Wow. What a motley crew of motleys.
But you notice every single one, Obama appointee, Clinton appointee, Biden appointee. It's funny because, I mean, it's apparently a constitutional crisis, but I don't know, how is it that no other kind of judge, either independent judge, Republican judge, has found any problem? Only these kinds, only the most radical, the one who gave thousands of dollars to Democrats, the ones who worked for the ACLU, the ones who have been criticizing Trump from the beginning. They're the ones who somehow found a problem. I mean, I'm sorry, it's not giving me a lot of confidence. I don't think it gives a lot of confidence that they are being fair and impartial. It doesn't come off that way.
Yeah, it just feels like they know what they're doing. They know what they're trying to spread, and they're not even hiding it. That's the issue. You know what I mean? That's part of the whole thing. You know which side they're breading their butter, right?
I guess that, but you know what? You're not supposed to be breading your buttering your bread, Fletcher. I think is the expression.
No, I agree.
They're breading their butter.
Right. You gotta hit the like, smash like.
Like that hit. If you
like that hit,
Fletcher, like that hit.
Like that hit. Sasha said, so if I'm Asian or white adjacent and I'm dark skinned Asian, does that mean I have white privilege with being black? This is so confusing. I think it is.
I can help you out with this. Okay, so
all right, here we
you
go.
have white privilege on the side of the Asians. Okay.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
And then you have good rhythm on the part of that's the black. You see?
Okay.
Okay. So together, yeah, it means you can code. That's what that means.
That's what it means. Well,
yeah.
There you go. Now you know, Sasha. Thank you so much.
But a judge shouldn't be like buttering her bread. What a judge is supposed to do is just follow the law. I think that's what people are expecting. They don't want you to be activist.
What?
Activist judges are not acceptable in our democracy, our constitutional republic. We want you to stay in your lane.
How can
not try to stop? I mean, and I don't want you auditioning for your next job. Remember how those people did in Colorado, showing off, oh, Trump can't be on the ballot because he was part of an insurrection and he got slapped down 9-0. Every single, from the left to the right and to the middle, every Supreme Court justice was like, y'all crazy, shut up, sit down, take that, go away with that mess. How can you say you don't get to decide without any kind of trial or hearing that President Trump did something wrong and say he can't be on the ballot in your state? That's garbage. That's a ridiculous point. I think they are trying to show off. It's like, how your kids act when, somebody comes over, they figure you can't do anything because they're showing off. Right. Stop showing off. These judges are trying to get their next job.
That's what it seems like. It does seem like they're just rehearsing for it. It's so ridiculous. But we got more shock. Here we go. I mean, this is why we know that
this is winning.
Upset. This is
winning, y'all.
So
and you know what I get mad about, Fletcher? Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'll tell you what I get mad about in a minute. First, tell us what's going on if you want.
So this is a shock. This approval ratings among black men soars to 42%. Now, I know those numbers seem inadequate in certain circles. Let me tell you about our circles. In our circles, those are insane numbers. These are astronomical numbers. These numbers are earth shattering because, man, we didn't expect this one.
We really did it. And I think this is what I was going. Went right to what I want to talk about, Fletcher. I get frustrated with conservatives because it's almost like the goody two shoes perfection that I don't like. It's like the kind of Christians who like, oh, you have a past, you're not good enough to go to my church. Oh, I heard that you used to X or you used to Y. Right. And like, I remember St. Paul saying, such were some of y'all, such was some of you. Right. But Christ set you free, so let them come along and be what they're going to be too. And it seems to me, when I read this article and some of the comments, they're like, oh, come on, they're just getting off the plantation now, or they're just learning now, or that's not that much. They don't understand. It's baby steps. Something like 98% of Black people voted for Obama just a few years ago. Something around that range voted for Biden. The fact that in this election, with not even a whole generation of people having turned, went 42% for Trump. It's like, you have to be excited about this. You have to, because you have to see that as a seismic shift. This is the kind of cultural shift that changes things. You see Black men seeing something, and this man that they're saying is so racist, but Black men are seeing something that makes them proud of him, wants to follow him. And that is significant. And I think it needs to be nurtured for those who want to see, Republicans keep winning this thing. The fact is, as it says here, Democrats honestly are losing male voters. And I know why. You're picking people who want to put men in women's sports and in their bathrooms and claim that's some kind of a moral indignation that you don't let people do that. I mean, most men don't roll with that, especially most Black men don't roll with that. And
yeah, I mean, President Donald Trump having, Democrats on the ropes, that's an understatement. His surge in support from African Americans prompted a poll to declare that Black men love Trump. In a new survey shared by Seekers, Trump has a shocking 42% approval rating from Black men, a massive edge over any past Republican president. So it looks like Vice President of the polling told that 42% of Black men approving Trump's job so far is no small thing. Unlike Democrats' approach previously, this isn't about placation or offering new attractive policies for no follow-through. That's the key, right? Because everything was promise, promise, promise. His popularity and approval surges because he does the things he says he'll do. And that's a breath of fresh air for everyone. The poll for Trump in 2016 of Vivek Ramsey here added in the pre-Trump era, these numbers for a Republican would be inspirational rather than realistic. In the thicket of the new Trump era, these gains among Black Americans are noteworthy and certainly beyond the threshold of statistic and normality. Boils down to follow through is the most elusive trait of politician, which that's the key, right?
I'm going to disagree with the article. I don't think it's follow through. I think it's manliness. I think it's which I guess, maybe I'm not arguing with it because it's the same thing. A man keeps his word. Right. A man follows through on his word. He says what he's going to do and then he does it. And come hell or high water, he's going to come through. He's going to try his best or he'll die trying. That's what a man, that's a quality of being manly. Effeminacy is more wishy-washy. You see a lot of effeminacy across the aisle of the Democrats. I think a lot of Black men are getting much more open about what their own interests are and getting off this kind of hive mentality, like all of us have to vote the same way. It's really terrible. It's been a tradition for a long time that like we all have to vote en masse, which I can understand. In the beginning, during slavery times, once we got the vote, right, in the very beginning postbellum era, which was very hard to get and honestly was, restricted through violence and trickery. And so we figure we got to bond together and let's all vote for the same person to have our voices heard. But at this point, it doesn't make sense because honestly, Democrats, what have they done for you lately? And you know what? It says Trump, they're like, give him a shot. Now, I'm disappointed, I will tell you, by Black women. And I think Black women would have come out more for Trump, but they got snookered because
Yes.
for a couple of things. One, they were told Kamala is Black. And I'm sorry, no offense to, Candace Owens did a whole series on how Kamala is Indian. I honestly think she is Black in a way. I mean, she probably considers herself that, but I don't think that matters. But they made it seem like that was really important from a loyalty point of view, that she'd be looking out for you. I don't think Black women understood she wasn't looking out for us. And most Black women are very religious and love Jesus. And this woman said at a rally, if you love Jesus, you don't belong here. So I'm sorry. I don't know how you juxtapose that. How do you justify that? Additionally, Black women have been put down so long, they look to the government for support, right? A lot of Black women don't get men to stay married to them or have marriage with them before they have their kids. They depend very much on government. So the idea that Trump would cut back on government, I think, was very scary. But I think that what is happening with Black men going for Trump might be a sign that they might stand up more also in the community as brothers, fathers, pastors, right? And really take that role, because you know what? Trump embodies that. This is a man who is a businessman. He's successful no matter what people say. The whole thing about, oh, he had bankruptcy is so ridiculous to me, because like literally that's a business decision. It's not a sign of like, it's done like scheduled. If you've ever worked in a business, you know that. He's good with his, I mean, yeah, he's had a couple of wives, but he's married. His kids were born in wedlock. And he takes care of them. And the whole idea, I mean, we have family members who tell me these horrible, stupid things like, oh, he hates his kids hate him. And he never, that one kid he had with Marla Maples, oh, he didn't even talk to her for years. Okay, you know how I know that's a lie? You know how I know that's a lie, Fletcher? I'll tell you how I know it's a lie. Number one, she got married at Mar-a-Lago. She could have gotten married anywhere she wanted to. She got married at her daddy's house. In addition, she had him walk her down the aisle. She could have had her mother do it. That's kind of what people do today, too. And she could have said, well, it's a feminist thing, Dad. It's no offense to you. I want my mother to walk me down the aisle. It's a Jewish custom. She had her dad do it. She didn't have to do that. She could have eloped with her husband. And you know what else, how I know? At the inauguration, Tiffany Trump, who is heavily pregnant, okay? Everyone was speculating because she looked kind of big. And then, President Trump was like, oh, by the way, my daughter's expecting with her husband, Michael. Do you really think that she would attend the inauguration of a man that never spoke to her, who treated her horribly, when she has the easy excuse of, Dad, you want me to go to D.C. for your inauguration when I'm like 7 months pregnant in the ice and cold? I mean, she could easily say my husband's not comfortable with it. And she didn't just go to like the main ceremony where she can just show her face and say, well, I have to make him look good. And then say, well, she doesn't feel well. She went to the ball that night. She got herself a beautiful gown for a pregnant lady, expecting lady, looked very nice, very tasteful, and danced at the balls he went to. That's not a woman who didn't love her father. Okay, so y'all need to shut up. There's my signs right there. As a woman, I can tell you those two things would not have happened if she didn't care for her dad.
No, it's just.
And so he's a man who's a businessman who loves his family. His children have all done well. And in comparison to Biden's kids, who are, always in trouble, always seem like something's wrong with them, President Trump's kids and grandkids seem to have a lot on the ball. You don't hear about any funky laptop. There's no crack. There's no grifting with your paintings with, foreign people. They actually have real, jobs and lives and so forth. So, I mean, I think it's a really good sign. I hope that Black men will take this even further.
No, I think so too. I think that even as Sir Glenn says, every Black guy on Twitter supporting Trump is talking about jobs and immigrants. Oh my gosh, I even saw Black women coming along. You were talking about Black women, and I did see a lot more posting on Black women for support for President Trump. And, we've seen it at even major cities, a lot more like on the East Coast than on the West Coast, I think.
Yeah.
But you have a lot more people going like, because they know that the people that come here illegally, they are taking jobs. a lot of them from the Black communities, and they are starting to see that their spaces are being overrun, and that money's going to them. So, good on them. I do think that there's a little bit of shift on it, but I think the shift comes in the wake of things that are happening. Because it looks like the FCC, Brendan Carr, orders probe to Comcast DEI policy. Now, this is kind of crazy. But it's not. A lot of these organizations who used to get pass, right? They used to get a pass. They could say whatever they wanted to. They're big corporations and stuff like that. But now it seems like they're taking a task for their words, right?
Right.
So it looks like the chair of the Federal Communications has asked the agency to launch an investigation into Comcast DEI policies, setting off alarm bells on other media conglomerates with diversity programs. Tuesday Cards warns Comcast and FCC will be looking into whether the cable giant, which owns NBC Universal, and breaking federal law, especially in the Equal Opportunity Act, by running DEI programs, according to the letter by the Post. Every single business that's regulated by the FCC, I trust that they have now get the message that time to end the invidious forms of DEI discrimination now. Now, this is funny because a lot of folks that we know, they kind of have this idea that DEI helps us, right?
Right.
And the matter from all the research that I've had, from my understanding, the majority, I think it was like 60%. If I saw the math, benefits, white women, if you want to call it labels, right?
Yeah.
On this DEI thing. And there's a large portion that helps basically Alphabet Mafia. Not necessarily Latinos, natives, or blacks. Right? But that's what they're selling you, right? They're selling it, it's helping us.
That's
right?
That's the hijack right there.
That's the hijack. Right? But with this, it looks like they're banning this this on the federal level. So they're going after these news agencies. Because the basically what they're saying is like, we're just going to hire. In a sense, it is a form of discrimination. We're going to tell you who we're not going to hire, right?
Right.
So it looks like we received inquiry from the Federal Communication Commission that will be cooperating with the FCC to answer their question. And Comcast spokesman told the Post in a statement, for decades, our company has been built on a foundation of integrity and respectful for all our employees and customers. Carr said the agency was starting with Comcast because the company launches so many of our sectors. The company operates cable, wireless, and internet service, and its own broadcasts like NBC Universal's and streaming service Peacock. So I guess the chair says every single entity overseas by the agency would end any discriminatory policies, and hinted the company that fail to do so would face regulatory hurdles when it comes to deal making. And we already seen a lot of this with like people like Disney already taking down some of their so-called diversity inclusion thing, which is basically exclusion, right? But what do you think about this? How do you think this is going to fly over?
I mean, I don't know. I think this is one of those agencies that has been hard to grapple with. I think the FCC is one of those things that every time you hear about them, they do seem to fly solo. They do seem to do what they want to do. And I mean, this one says they expect every single entity overseen by the agency to end this stuff. But I don't know that they are easily. I don't think any of these agencies are really easy to get your hands around. They've been able to do whatever they want for so long. And under Biden, it seems like it was, Wild West in a sense, So I guess I wonder. I think there will be a change, though. The one thing you can say about Trump, we talked about him as a businessman. He does get results. He has a strong leadership, a way of dealing, which again scares people. But I do believe that he's the kind of person to get down and dirty, to really show up at the office. So I think these discriminatory policies, I think they will be tampered down. Will they fully go away? I don't know if that's true.
I agree. I think something is happening, but are we seeing more change? Hopefully we will. And it goes along those lines that we were talking about Trump as a businessman. He's tackling this in the sense of he knows that these organizations do affect the zeitgeist of the whole nation. And by tackling, where they're getting their information from, and in a sense, a corruptive information, we're starting to see how they could change, right? We can start to see how he's able to take something like the media and starts. We're already starting to see changes, right? When we see newscasters talk about, like they don't. I mean, some still do migrants, but other people say, well, illegal aliens. They're using the code words, right?
Right.
And I do see like a change, but I do believe that Trump is setting up a new kind of era. Here we go with media, because he's basically out there all the time. He doesn't let there's no give, right? Every time they're trying to go with their new talking points, he's got something else that's new that just overwrites like the whole mainstream news media. He's like trending every day.
Wow,
Why I
that's
think it's
crazy. I think that's what's scary to the establishment media and the establishment politicians too, because he is doing everything so differently. He's not the, business as usual, so to speak, politician. He really is out there. He's comfortable in front of people. He's comfortable with social media. He's comfortable with alternative means of reaching people in general and talking to them. And so it's very hard for them to do what they do. They still are out there lying. They're still out there making up narratives, but it's definitely harder to do so with this president because he's willing to, have press. I mean, what he's doing now, Fletcher. He's bringing in, actually, you and I could probably try to get press passes. They're doing this new media thing where instead of just legacy media, the mainstream media, the ones we all know about and hate, they're also opening up to anybody who has a kind of platform. So I think they let Breitbart come. I heard they let Rumble. I think Rumble got press passes and got to ask the first question the other day of Carolyn Levitt.
The president, I think, is there in the third row.
It's amazing because they usually shut. Yeah, legacy media shuts those people out because they say you have, you're just small and, you just have a point of view from your side, not noticing that they have just a point of view on their side. And so Trump is opening it up so everybody can have access to him. And so that makes it very scary for them. Between that and him uncovering government waste, taking names, calling people out, and just doing things differently than what they expect, and then going at it really fast, the way he does with his construction work. I mean, as President Trump said one time, he said, I think it was before the Super Bowl, Fletcher, he was interviewed by Fox. It was a really good interview. I didn't get to see the whole thing because I had to do some work before the big game. And I only saw some highlights, but he said something very interesting. He said that my whole job was in business, and I know how to get around a construction site. I know how to get a building done on budget and on time. And that's now what I'm bringing to this. And I think that's why we say, him as a businessman, on time, under budget, requires a kind of ruthlessness, a kind of energy that they don't see in, Washington.
No, completely. He is changing the field. He's destroying the field and building it back up. As Sir Glenn says, the Park Place and WDW Pro talk about getting press passes. Yeah, I think.
How exciting is that?
Yeah, Benny Johnson was talking about getting press passes. There's so many people out there trying to get press passes, and that's what we need. We need, we need people who we can trust, right? Because we can go to them and go, "Hey, bro, you didn't really do this right or whatever," and he's like, "Oh, no problem. So we do need that closeness to where we get our source of news nowadays, because it does seem we're getting like not the proper thing. But we thank everybody for joining us today. It was a fast pace. Thank you for Supermod and friend Sir Glenn. Thanks for my cousin, the Bosco Scenario, for hanging out with us, cuz. Thank you so much.
We have to give him an honorary royal title. We'll think of one.
We'll think of one. Sashi, thank you so much for hanging us as well. Really, really appreciate it. As you know, we try to find some cute little videos to to go with, and this is a seagull that was clowning on somebody. The seagull's like, all right, human. Yeah, I see what you're doing.
Let me show you how to do it. He literally flies a little bit.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah. That's messed up. And then he laughs, you know what I mean? Then he's like, ha 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 ha, you stupid human.
I love that he enjoyed this human. He's like, you trying to fly? Let me show you. Oh, look at this one. This is great. You got to start this over. You guys stay for this. Got to see this. Hold up.
Oh my gosh. He's like wrestling cat.
He's a wrestling cat. Look how he tries to pretend he looks off to the side. In the meantime, let me go back.
That was Captain America level right there.
That was Captain American level.
That was Captain
What made him go up against the wall like that? He wants that momentum.
Clue. Like he watched
and the
that
black
on
cat,
TV.
The black cat's like, okay, I accept the result.
Yeah.
You beat me good.
So
and he had the nerve to
you
walk
have
off.
This one.
Oh, this is great.
This cat. So is this music on this one? Let's see. All right, there's some music, so it goes down. So I guess this is a cat in a pole, right?
Yeah, he needs to be rescued. Poor little kitty. And here comes somebody to try to, without getting injured.
Yeah, this is because this is a live power wire. And
yeah,
this
he's trying to make sure he. Oh
he's
yeah.
all like, what's going on?
What you doing? He's. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to grab you in this bag so I can get you down. And therefore, your poor mom. And he's like, what? Nah, son.
I got this. Spider cat. Spider cat. Does whatever a spider cat can. Homeboy's out of there too. He's like, don't try to get me
crazy.
Don't try to get me in trouble.
He was up here sunbathing. Like, why you think I'm in distress? Go away. What you doing?
Away. That's funny.
See, right there, there's your Democrat. There's the black community. You're coming to help us. Let us help ourselves.
Let us help ourselves. Have a great night, David.
Good night, everybody. Thank you, everybody.
And have a
great
Fletcher.
time. God bless you all.
Weekend. God bless you all. Later.
Ave Maria, Maria, rogai por nós, Santa Mãe de Deus.